Hello guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and today I want to do a prediction video on JUJUTSU Kaisen. I was trying to rack up ideas on what to do today, and I needed to drop a video. I wanted to be consistent, and so I came up with this. I'm gonna talk about the people who I think will survive and people who I think will die in JUJUTSU Kaisen. I'm mainly gonna focus on the main cast. I'm gonna give a rough storyboard or storyline for some of the characters of what I think will happen and how I think the story will potentially end. But my main focus is about the characters who I think will survive the whole story and the characters that won't. Now, we know that the author was talking about how, it's either Yuji survives and everybody dies, or Yuji dies and everybody survives, or most people survive. I kind of hate that he said that because I think it limits us in what we could do. I'm just gonna take that as is that's what he initially thought, and his mind might change. I suppose if Yuji survives and everybody dies, then everybody dies. But I don't think that will be the outcome. It'll be, I don't know. I don't know if that will be a satisfactory outcome. I'd probably rather Yuji die and some people die, and then some people survive. I think that's probably the best possible outcome. I think for a full satisfactory story, at least in my opinion, that will be the way. Now, so let's go through these characters, right? And I'm going to tell you who's going to get smoked out and who's going to be doing the smoking. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to start with Yuji. I'm going to say that Yuji himself is going to die because that kind of has to happen in order for the amount of characters I think will survive. But I think he'll die like a sacrificial death in helping defeat Sukuna. Sukuna, I think, obviously is going to play a key major role. He is our main protagonist. So, of course, he's going to be the one to probably do the final blow or play the most pivotal role in defeating Sukuna, who I think Sukuna is going to be the endgame. And I think he kind of has to die because I think it ends his arc better if he dies. I think his arc will be unsatisfactory, and he'll probably want to kill himself if everybody dies and he survives anyway, because he wants to die. If you remember, unlike his granddad, he wants to die with loads of people surrounding him, knowing that he impacted loads of people's lives. But if he just dies, if he's at the end, then he's obviously going to die by himself, which I think it's a sad end to his arc, I suppose, and I don't know if it's all that satisfactory. Now, some characters are supposed to be dead already, like Nobara, Kogisaki, but I actually don't think she's dead. I think she's actually alive, which is crazy. I think a good few people have this theory that Nobara is still alive, just because, I don't know, nobody really acknowledged her death like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel the aftermath of her death as much as I wanted to for such an important character. So I hope she comes back during this game. So for this prediction, I'm going to say Nobara is going to come back with a crazy new technique, maybe a curse domain. And I think because if you look at her powers like control the dolls and deaths and shit like that. So I think her reaching near death experience might even awakened reverse curse technique for her, or did something. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like her potential definitely wasn't reached. She's also one of the main original trio. So it'd be weird for her to die this easily, or at least without us getting like I don't know, like I didn't feel the repercussions. I didn't feel the wave following it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at other characters, like when Jiraiya died, you really felt that for like episodes on episodes on episodes on episodes after he died. When even when goddamn what's his name, the Shikamaru Sensei died. Like I didn't really care about him, bro, but goddamn, I felt that shit episodes after. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel that. Obviously, they were in a situation that's hard to kind of spend that time, but I feel like they had a bit of time, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like they just didn't spend it on that, and they just kept moving on. Which is kind of like, I don't know, it's a bit weird. I suppose they're used to death, so it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, for us, the audience, I think it's very unsatisfactory if Nobara died like that. Now, she died valiantly, but I just feel like her character arc didn't really go anywhere. She didn't really have a character arc in that sense, if that's where her story ends. So I believe Nobara will still be alive, and she will actually survive all the way to the end, and she'll play a pivotal role towards the end game. I don't think she's going to come back now. I think she's going to come back at around the same time as Gojo. or a similar time, maybe just before, maybe just after, but I'm not sure. Probably before, because Gojo has to be the big final dude that comes out. Then we have Yuta. I think Yuta Okotsuku. I think Yuta Okotsu. So it's just Okotsu. Yuta. I think Yuta will. Oh, see, Yuta is hard, right? Yuta is very hard because he is Zero's protagonist. So people say he's the original protagonist, but I mean, he's not really. I wouldn't even consider him a protagonist. I'd consider him a main character. One of the main characters, but I don't know about protagonists. I would say Megumi and Yuji are protagonists. So Yuta, I think Yuta might survive. I think Yuta will probably survive. But I think, actually, no, I think Yuta will die only because I think he wants to protect everybody he can. But I feel like his arc also ends nicely if he dies, because I think he gets to reunite with, the original spirit of Rika, the girl that he's quote unquote lover, his quote unquote first crush, best friend, who died as a kid. And I think it's kind of like Obito type scenario where, he gets to reunite with her after all he goes through in this arc, in the calling game. So I think he's probably going to die, but I think he's also going to die heroically. He's gonna do something that's going to help Yuji and is going to help Satoru Gojo to defeat Sukuna, because I don't think it's gonna be a 1v1 fight between Satoru Gojo and Sukuna, or at least, if he's gonna die, it's gonna be dying reviving Satoru Gojo. Actually, I think that would be the most satisfactory, him dying to secure Satoru Gojo's return, and maybe taking Kenjaku with him. That'll be beautiful. But I think he's going to die. Then we have Hakari. I think Hakari is going to survive just because of how often we almost saw him die. It'll be weird if he just dies, and it'd be unsatisfactory. I think he's brash, and he has hopes of revolutionizing the Jujutsu world, which I don't think Yuta necessarily does. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's going to be pivotal in restructuring the Jujutsu world after the calling game and all of that stuff happens. So that's why I think he will survive. For the same reason, I think Maki, I think Maki will survive because Maki already lost her sister. So because she already lost her sister, if she dies as well, it kind of feels like, wow, do you know what I mean? Her act doesn't feel satisfactory unless she survives. So I think because of that, Maki will survive. And I know some of these are like frivolous reasons, but I think as a writer, and an author must think of that. Like when you set up a character a certain way, sometimes it's good to, goddamn, pull the wool over the fan's head, but it has to make sense narratively and still be satisfactory. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, they died, it's sad, but I'm satisfied with the arc, you know what I'm saying, even though it didn't end as planned or as hoped. I think with Maki, her sister dying and stuff like that, I think she just has to play a pivotal role. Either if she's going to die, she has to die in vengeance and blood. But I think Maki's going to survive. She's going to be one of the survivors for the story, because I think her arc suits surviving and her changing, the Jujutsu world and the prejudice towards, people with heavenly restriction, etc., etc. So I think that's why she's necessary to survive and go through it. And that's kind of the same reason why I think Akari needs to survive, because Akari wants to change the Jujutsu system. And I think it's the people that want to change the Jujutsu system that are the ones that are going to survive, so that they can radicalize and modernize the system. For the same reason, I think Panda will survive, simply because I think Panda is a unique character, not being human in that. So, excuse me. I think we had an opportunity to kill Panda and he didn't die. And I think he's probably going to be the one. I don't know if he's going to be the one to kill Kashimo, but I think he's going to play a pivotal role. And him somehow being able to survive all those explosions and shit is an interesting thing as well. So I think we're going to discover more about Panda and showcase his strength. But yeah, I think he's just going to survive based off the strength of the people around him. But if he dies, probably sacrificial, death to keep somebody else alive. So actually, I'm gonna say Panda dies. Fuck it, Panda is dying. He's gonna sacrifice himself to save Hakari or Megumi or one of the guys, one of the kids. I think he's going to want to join his creator, and the rest of his family who and siblings who seem to have fully died, but I'm not too sure how his powers work like. So I guess we'll find out. Sorry for the yawning, guys. I'm very tired, but I had to drop a video for y'all. Now, what other main character here do I care about talking about? I'm just trying to see because, there's not every character I think needs to be talked about. So then obviously Megumi, I think Megumi will. So Megumi one is interesting because I think Maki is a Zenin already, so she kind of covers that role of changing the Zenin clan. But then that's kind of also Megumi's role. But I think for Megumi, the only thing about him surviving is because of his sister, right? He's doing a lot to make sure his sister survives. So as a result, I think it's both good if he dies for his sister, or if he survives, so that he can, be with his sister. So that's an interesting one. So I think he's one of the hardest ones to pick because I think in both death and in survival, his character arc is complete in a satisfactory way. Because if he becomes super strong and and gets used by Sukuna and then breaks out of it and then dies to help kill Sukuna, that's beautiful. Excuse me. I'm gonna try to cut out all these yawns. I'm so sorry if I can. But yeah, so I think he will die with Yuji. Just because I think there are two main protagonists, and I think his powers are, again, the potential to pass Satoru Gojo, etc. I think the intriguing part is there's two ways I think this could end. I don't think the way that everybody dies and Yuji survives is a way the author is going to take for several reasons. But I think that Gojo either will die with Sukuna, saving most people, but having to kill Yuji on, as a result. Because I think Satoru Gojo dying makes way for all these characters like Hakari and Maki, and and they're forced into a leadership position, which I suppose gives potential for spin-offs and other stuff. But Gojo surviving, I suppose, then gets his ideals across. But I think his ideals are with the students. He doesn't necessarily care about being the one to make the change as long as he is the one that revolutionizes it. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Kind of like what Tupac said, like, I'm going to spark an idea, the person who is the one that's going to make the change. I think Satoru Gojo is satisfied with that. So his character arc also ends positively in death, or if he stays alive and wins. So I think him and Megumi are the hardest too. I'm going to say Megumi. I know I say he dies, but I'm trying to think. I'm going to say he dies trying to save Yuji, because I feel like he's that type of person. He's pretty reckless when it comes to that. I think he's going to die trying to save Yuji, to the very last second. And I think Satoru Gojo, and that's what's going to push Satoru Gojo to kill Yuji, and Sukuna. And I think that fight is going to be epic. I really want it to kind of be like a one-on-one fight. I want everybody else to kind of be beat up or tired or fucked or something before Sukuna, so that in trying to get Gojo back alive, I think that should be like the craziest shit. And once Gojo is back, I just want to see the battle between Gojo and Sukuna. And then I think that's when, Megumi could show up and be like, yo, we have to try to save Yuji. You know what I'm saying? And in doing so, maybe die. But he could also be the one to kill Sukuna. So the way it could end is, that's what I like about Jujutsu Kaisen is those three characters, I think only three characters that could kill Sukuna and make it very satisfactory. And that's Megumi, Satoru Gojo, and Yuji. So we don't know if they can split bodies. We have no idea. We know that Yuji is kind of like a vessel for Sukuna. It gets very convoluted a little bit, so it's hard to really say for certain. But I'm going to say Yuji dies. I'm going to say Megumi dies. I'm going to say Satoru Gojo survives because I think he's going to be the one to defeat Sukuna. And he's going to be on the brink of, but I think he's going to survive. On the brink of death, but I think he's going to survive and he's going to kill Sukuna. And then there's Noritoshi Kamo. I think Noritoshi Kamo isn't ultra important, but obviously his clan is kind of important. So for that reason, he would probably survive, even though I think out of the characters that I've killed, fans would probably consider him to be more expendable. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's probably going to survive, because his role is kind of beyond that. So, but either way, if he dies or survives, it's not that big of a deal. He hasn't been a super focal point. And then there's Todo. I think Todo will probably die. I think Todo probably die because I don't think he has a great relationship with Yuji, but I don't think there's that much for him to do. I think if he survives or dies, it doesn't make too much of a difference. He's strong, but he's not as strong as Yuta. He's not as strong as Akari. He's not as strong as Megumi. I think by the time we get to that, I think Megumi is going to be stronger than him. I think Yuji is pretty much already stronger than him, so he's not as strong as Megumi. He's not as strong as Maki. He's not as strong as any of these guys, really. So I think he's kind of more expendable. If he survives, he's going to be a cripple, maybe. Or somebody's going to use reverse technique on him. But I feel like he's pretty expandable. So I think, and fans like him a lot, so I think he could be used to kind of, give extra emotions to the arc and be like, oh, damn, our main characters can die. So, kind of like how Nobara died. But I think, I think he would die. Which is, I know people are probably thinking like, that's very interesting, my choices of who will die and who will not die. Now there's the lady who's like the first special grade. I haven't seen her, so I can't really like say anything about her at all. So I'm just gonna leave her off completely. We haven't really met her, or gotten anything really about her. I think villains wise, I think all the villains that need to die will die. So I'm not going to bother doing one on villains, right? It's kind of seems a bit pointless. I think that's the characters that will die and the characters that will survive. What you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I think maybe the one that I think most people will be contentious about is Megumi. Megumi is more than likely to survive, but I'm just explaining why I think both ways work for him. Him surviving, being with his sister, he's going to be happy, but I think he's going to be very sad that Yushi's gone. I think Todo dying actually might work better than him surviving because of his brothership with Yuji and him trying to figure out a way to save him all before Gojo comes back. You know what I mean? And I think Yuji is going to be the one killing most of these people, which I think, creates a stronger emotional pull for us because it's, our protagonist killing some of our favorite characters. And I think that's what's going to make it beautiful. So maybe Megumi survives, actually. Maybe Megumi survives. But I really want it to be Gojo to be the one that does of the final thing pretty much by himself. So that's one of my reasons for killing some of these characters, like Megumi, especially Megumi. Because I feel like Yuta's death is fine. Mainly because I think he'll be happy to meet his, his friend again. In the afterlife. So I think that's okay. How to get him killed has to be very satisfactory. Like, he has to be fighting like fucking 10 special grades at the same time or some shit, bro. Because this motherfucker soloed 4 of these dudes by himself in a day. Like, a day, 3 days, whatever. In a battle, never ending fighting, bro. He was just smoking everybody. And we know he's OP as hell, so he can't just be dying like those. I wouldn't mind Yuta surviving. But the only reason I'm killing him, one of the main reasons I'm killing him is because of his arc. And the second reason is because I feel like he doesn't necessarily want to radicalize and change the Jujutsu world. And, he I don't know. He's too strong. You know what I'm saying? He's a bit too strong to keep going. Um, yeah. So, but also, the younger students. I didn't keep many of the younger students alive, so I don't want to keep many of the older students alive either. I want to balance it out. Um, but yeah, I think I'm okay with I'm okay with pretty much everybody surviving at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it takes away some of the weight of it. So I think some of these guys have to die. And Yuta is one of my favorite characters. Him, Hakari, oof, goaded. Hakari, Yuta, Megumi, Gojo, Nobara, Maki, fucking Yuji. Like, those are all my favorite characters. I love them all. But Yuta is like up there with my love for Hakari, Nobara, and Megumi, who are my top four favorite characters. That's also why I think Megumi will come back alive, or Nobara will come back alive. What you guys think? Who do you think is gonna die? Who do you think is gonna survive? Why? Comment that shit down below and let me know. Let's have a discussion. It's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. I'm out.